What's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Geibel and I'm a beauty and wedding photographer based in Germany. Today I would like to show you a really super easy and super quick Photoshop tutorial how you can edit your portrait in beauty photography. Please keep in mind, guys, if you like to keep your skin the way it is, if you like to keep it natural, if you love the wrinkles, then this is not the right tutorial for you. You can just close the window and you can watch something else and you can spend your time doing something more fun and interesting and not watching this boring tutorial which I made for you. But if you're like me and you would like to go a little bit extreme with your retouch, then it's a perfect tutorial. And I'm going to show you a couple of techniques which I always use, and it takes me less than 10 minutes to edit my images. And because I feel like I'm the photographer, you know, I'm not the retoucher, and my job is actually to create stunning images, and I don't like to spend hours and hours. Sometimes, of course, if I feel myself a little bit nerdy, then I spend days and nights. We all know that feeling. You just had the photo shoots and then you made kick-ass pictures as you think, and then of course you just cannot wait and you just stay until 4 a.m. in the night drinking wine and in front of the screen, but it's not that healthy. So that's why I would like to show this tutorial to you, which is super quick, and this is the final image. I think for 10 minutes it's not that bad. Of course, there are more advanced techniques, and I'm going to make part 2 for you with a little bit advanced editing tutorial, which requires a little bit more of your time. But I think for 10 minutes retouch, this is the before and this is after, it's not that bad. Of course, if you'd like to print like a big ass poster with your image, if you shoot the campaign for Calvin Klein, then you might need to spend a little bit more time. But if it's just a beauty photography for your Instagram, you know, it's just playing around, or it's for the clients, and then I think it's a perfect tutorial for you. So without further ado, let's get started. So guys, I hope you are ready for this awesome tutorial, really quick tutorial. And right now we are in the Photoshop. We need to open the image, of course. And you can also change a couple of things in Camera Raw. That's why you actually need to photograph your images in RAW, because you have a lot more information in the images. If you photograph them in JPEG, it will be really challenging to extract some of the information. And here I'm not going to do anything crazy. I just decrease a little bit the highlights, so something like that. I increase the whites, and I would like to increase the shadows, something like that, and then decrease the blacks just a little bit, maybe like 3%, and I think it looks pretty good. And now we need to click open, and right now we are going to open this photo in Photoshop. The first thing I usually like to do with my images, I like to make a layer, to duplicate the layer, because just in case you're going to mess up, you can always go back, you can always remove whatever you were doing. So we duplicated the layer, and then I like to save the image. I'm like a little bit paranoid, so I save my images like, I don't know, maybe every 2 minutes. You know, better safe than sorry, because a couple of times it happened to me, and for sure it happened to you, that you just do lots of work and then you work on your photos like for, I don't know, half an hour, 1 hour, and then you forget to save your image, and then of course all your work is gone because computer crashed, Photoshop crashed, whatever. So I always like to save them. And so right now we have duplicated the layer, and I would like to start by removing some of the imperfections, you know, some of the makeup. And we just selected, as you saw, the spot healing brush tool. We zoom in a little bit, and she has some of the skin here which we can remove. So we don't do something crazy because it's a quick editing tutorial. That's why we just do really quick fix, nothing crazy. Okay, let's just check before and after. So right now we need to copy this layer, duplicate the layer, and now we need to go to filter and new Photoshop. Starting from 2020 Photoshop, they have a really cool feature which is called neutral filters. I don't know if you guys know about that. It was really a game changer for me, because right now technology, they became so advanced, it's actually super duper easy and super duper quick to edit your images. And here, as you can see, I have a function, skin smoothing. So Photoshop knows already that this is the portrait, Photoshop recognizes the face, and as you can see, boom, just one click, the skin is smooth. It's not perfect just yet, but I mean, with one click to do something like that, isn't it amazing? And if you guys, if you have a portrait client, you know, if you don't have to go really crazy with your editing, and if your model, she has a nice skin, actually it could be already enough for you, because as you can see, before and after. I don't know if you can see that, I hope you do, that she has a little bit of too much of the effects here on her nose. That's why I would like to remove it. So the way I do it, you need to make a mask, and you need to select your brush tool. Flow or opacity you can decrease a little bit, something like that, and we just remove some parts of the effects to make it more realistic, and I think I'm pretty happy. I mean, for my personal taste it looks good already, and we can decrease opacity a little bit more. And right now we need to copy the layer once again. I have already in my actions, I have this command, so I can just press here, copy all and paste. I'm going to show to you in the next tutorial how to make actions. Right now you can just do old school stuff, select all, edit, copy, merged, and then you click paste. And we need to duplicate this layer, because right now I'm going to show to you how to do frequency separation. So we have now this layer, and we turn off for now for 1 minute the other layer, and we go to filter, blur, and we need to select Gaussian blur. I really do hope I'm pronouncing correctly. So now we are in the Gaussian blur, and we need to play a little bit with the radius. We need to decrease it a little bit, but not too much, because for example, if you have radius here, let's say 1.3, you don't really see the effects. What you would like to do, you would like to blur the skin a little bit, and that's why we would like to increase the radius. I usually like to keep it somewhere between 25 and 30, depends on the skin. I think if we do 28.9, even something like that, 34.6, and we just press OK. And now we go to the layer above it, and we need to go to image, apply image. And here in the layer we need, instead of selecting merged, we need to select the previous layer. So in my case it's layer number 2, so we need to select that. Here blending mode is really important. It should be subtract, not something like that, not overlay, soft light, subtract. Here it's usually just the default setting, so scale at 2, offset 128. I never changed that, it's just, like I said, default Photoshop settings, and we need to press OK. And here we need to select linear or linear, I don't know. I'm so sorry, we need to select linear light, and we need to make a group out of these two layers. So we just make a group. And as you can see, you don't see any difference, but in a second you are going to see the difference. And we need to zoom in a little bit. So what it usually does, the layer above, it keeps all the skin texture. And that's why it's a really cool method to edit your images, because it doesn't make the skin of the model blur. And of course we don't want that. And so right now we selected this layer, and we need to go to lasso tool. And here it's really important. So here we have a setting, feather, and by default I believe it's set to 1, and I'm going to show to you if you have it at 1, then it's not gonna make a real nice effect. So we just select the skin that we would like to smooth a little bit, and feather is selected to 1, and now we need to go to filter, blur, and again the difficult words, Gaussian blur, and for example, yeah, just radius 34.6, and as you can see what it did, it blurred a little bit her skin, but you can also see the edges, and they're really obvious edges. That's why we need to go back. And when you select your lasso tool, you need to make sure that feather is set to, I usually do it somewhere between 19 and 25, so let's do 22. And right now it's gonna make a huge difference. So we select this area of her forehead. Some people say you need to select just small areas, but I'm not really that kind of person, so I just like to mess up with the big areas on my photos. We selected her forehead, we need to go to the filter. We need to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And radius we can also maybe increase it a little bit. And let's see the difference. Here you're not gonna see that much of a difference, but on my computer I can see that the skin became more smooth. And now we're going to be smoothing the other parts of her face, and we just select a big area, something like that. And we go again to the filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Looking really good. I'm going to show it to you in a second. This is before and this is after. And now we need to select this part of her face. And of course we shouldn't forget about her beautiful nose. So I think it looks pretty good. Right now we just need to select also her body just a little bit. I mean, she has a nice skin, so we don't have to be editing that much. And now we need to go back to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, let's just quickly check before and after. I think it's looking good. So I'm pretty happy with this skin. Of course, there are some small tiny imperfections which we need to fix. But right now I would like to show to you a really cool part, because I usually like to remove these dark areas around her eye. I would like here to add a little bit extra light, here and also here, you know, to make her face a little bit more three-dimensional, not so flat. But of course we would like to keep the texture. So what do we do? And now comes the cool part. Stay with me. We need to make a new layer, just a blank new layer, and we need to select the brush. And now we are going to feel ourselves like Picasso, Michelangelo, probably better like Michelangelo, because Picasso, he was doing some different kind of arts. And we need to go to flow, and I like to select it around 1. You can also play around and experiment. Maybe you would like to keep it around 2%, 3%. It's really just, you know, like in photography and retouch, it's always just a personal preference. And we need to zoom in a little bit. Yes, and I would like to remove this dark area. And the way I usually do, it's super duper easy. I have iMac and I didn't have a Windows computer for ages, so I don't really know the shortcut. On Mac computers it's Option, and then you press Option and then you select this bright area. And now comes the cool part. So we need to just paint on this dark area around her eyes. You can see it becomes brighter, but the skin texture is still there, so it's not like, you know, not blurring the skin. It's a cool thing, I think. It's a cool thing, I think. But I think for now it's a little bit too much, so we need to decrease opacity a little bit. I would say something like that. And I usually like to make new layers, you know, for each parts of her face, because if you mess up, you can just remove this layer, something like that. Of course, now it's way too bright, way too white. That's why we need to decrease opacity, and we make a second layer. And I'm going to show to you, for example, how it's done here. We just select this bright area, and we just start painting on this darker area, which we would like to make a little bit brighter, something like that. And we decrease opacity, zoom out, let's just see. I think it looks good. So now I'm going to speed up the process for you. I think you get an idea how to do it. We will just be fixing the nose and some other parts. Just simply paint, guys. It's super easy. And maybe you just need a little bit more practice, but once you get used to just, you know, like after 1 or 2 images, then I think you're going to love this process as much as I do. And you can also fix the small areas just like that. Well, I really like how this photo looks like. I only see a little bit some dark areas here. And right now I would like to add a little bit more shadows to her nose. We do basically just the same process. We just need to select the color from this darker area of her nose. And I would like to add a little bit more shadows on her forehead, just to make some more dimension on the face. Of course, we need to decrease opacity. I think we need to decrease it a little bit more, and let's just check. Before and after, I think it looks really good, and I would like to here decrease also opacity a little bit more, so somewhere around 91%. I think it's looking good, and I mean, how long it took us? Just a couple of minutes. Right now I would like to duplicate the layer, and I just fix by hand, you know, a couple of small imperfections. Well, it's not like really imperfections, it's just like every skin, you know, has texture, but like I said before, I don't really like to have lots of texture in my beauty photography work. That's why I like to remove it, but I think even now, I mean, it looks really good, but we can still do a couple of small changes. And just once again with the healing brush tool, we just remove them. And I mean, these days, guys, you are going to post your images on Instagram, and trust me, no one is going to see all those imperfections, just you. If you photograph, I don't know, beauty campaign for Dolce & Gabbana, or if you are going to have your photo printed, you know, on the billboard, then of course you need to spend a little bit more time. But if you just do some personal work and then you're going to post your images on Instagram anyway, you don't have them printed, it's not for magazines like Vogue, then I think it's okay if you don't spend hours and hours staring at your screen, because we are photographers and I think we need to photograph and not just spend our whole lives and get fat and have problems with our spines and just stare at the screen all day long. So that's why when I have many images that I need to retouch in one day, I like to do a really quick fix. Sometimes if I'm up for that, I spend sometimes even 3 hours just editing one single image. And I'm definitely going to make a tutorial about that, but for now we just do a quick fix. Just let's say a quick fix for Instagram. Okay, I think it looks good. Let's just check before and after what we've done in 10 minutes. Before and after, I think it makes a huge difference. Let's press save. Let's ungroup the layers. Okay, right now I would like to duplicate this layer, and I would like to use the neutral filters once again. I mean, why not? If artificial intelligence can make the job for you, I think we can just use that and save a little bit out of our time. And we need to go to skin smoothing once again. Looking good. We just press OK. Actually, it's looking really good. We just decrease a little bit the opacity. I mean, I have to say I really love this new Photoshop tool that you have. It's really crazy. And I cannot imagine how quick it's going to be to edit the pictures in 1 year, in 2 years. Probably just press one button, push the button, and then you have it done. Actually, then people are not gonna need photographers anymore, so let's enjoy until it lasts. And right now, just a couple of more fixes. I usually like to go to the curves, and I just play a little bit around, just to make it a little bit brighter. And then I also like to make to add a little bit extra contrast to my images, something like that, so it's a little bit more three-dimensional, not so flat. I don't really like flat images, again, the personal preference. And right now I would like to pop up the eyes a little bit more. The way I do it, I just select the area around the eye, and feather I usually do around 12, and you're gonna see now cool stuff happening. So we need to go back to the curves. We need to make it brighter, but of course here you see, you know, the effects, and we don't want that. That's why we need to click on the mask, and we need to increase the feather, something like that, 50 pixels. Let's check before and after, and I think I would like to add a little bit more brightness to my eye, to her eye, something like that. And opacity we can maybe increase, and we can also increase the feather. Perfect. No, I think decrease a little bit. Perfect, looking good. So let's do exactly the same procedure with her right eye. Let's check, looking good. Perfect. So we're almost done. I think it looks really good. The only thing I would like to do... Okay, first I would like to check before and after. Wow, huge difference. In 10 minutes it's a huge difference. Okay, almost the last thing, I would like to play a little bit with the levels, and it's the same, basically the same as the curves. We just increase the blacks a little bit, and here we have the shadows. We decrease them a little bit, and then also the whites. Perfect, looking really good. And almost the last thing, selective color. Because the main color of this image is red, and I would like just to change, you know, a little bit this red color. And here you have an option which is called black, which means if you decrease it, then the image is really flat. If you increase it, then it's like the red color is really dark. But we don't want to overdo it, maybe something like that, I would say. And then you also have an option to play a little bit here. So for example, yellow does this or like this, but I would like to, of course, not overdo it because sometimes the less is more. And then we also have magenta. Okay, looking really good. Let's check before and let's check after. I really like the effect. And also usually I like to use color balance. And here you have three options: shadows, midtones, and highlights. So I usually like to start with the highlights. As you can see, it just changes the color in the highlights. I think I would like to keep it a little bit warmer or cooler. Actually, I like both. Let's try a little bit cooler. And you can also play a little bit here. Okay, let's go now to the midtones. A little bit cooler, I would say, just a little bit. You can of course go even more extreme, you know, and then it changes the image completely. And the last thing we have shadows. So we just keep it, you know, the cool shadows, really cool shadows on the picture. And we decrease a little bit the opacity. I think I would like to add a little bit more light to this eye, so we just need to select that. Again, the same procedure, curves and feather. Ta-da! Looking really, really good. And the last thing I would like to add a little bit more light to her eyes. Actually, we can also fix, you know, this kind of veins that you can see in the eye. Well, like I said, no one is going to see that, but we can still fix that really, really quick because it's just one click, super duper easy. Again, with the healing brush. Actually, healing brush is a lifesaver. Yeah, I think if you have enough time, you can edit the whole image just with this healing brush. And here, because she has fake eyelashes, so we can fix that a little bit. So you don't see the difference between her own eyelashes and the fake eyelashes. And right now I would like to add a little bit, you know, just some to pop up, that the eye pops up. Okay, we need to select the brush and white. And here the blending modes, I usually like to select it on overlay, and we just paint a little bit with the brush. And we have the brush on 1%, which is not good. Let's make it 54, and we just start painting. So eye pops up, and we do exactly the same with the right eye. I have some problems with left and right, that's why sometimes I need to think for a couple of seconds which eye is that. And we need to go to the filter, my favorite Gaussian blur. And I would say we make radius around 4.2. Decrease opacity. Boom! You can also draw like around the eye, you know, to make it a little bit darker, but then it's going to take a little bit more time. So I think like for a basic retouch it looks pretty good. The only thing I see still just some tiny imperfections, which are not imperfections, it's just the skin texture. So I should probably say I just see some skin texture which I would like to remove, not the imperfection, because every skin is beautiful. And there is no such thing as imperfection. Body positivity. Okay, actually I almost forgot. The last trick that I usually like to do is to select lasso tool. And here is the brightest area of the face, and of course you would like the viewer to look first, you know, into the eye area. So like you would like to draw the attention of the viewer to that area. That's why I usually like to do something like that. So I select this part, like, I don't know, the main part of the face where you would like the viewer eye to go first. I like to select that, and then I need to go to select and click invert. So we selected actually this area around the main area. I hope it makes sense. And then we go again to the curves, and we need to darken a little bit this area. As you can see, it makes a really cool effect, but of course it doesn't look natural, it doesn't look realistic. That's why we need to go again back to the feather, do something like that. Let's just check before and after, and we decrease opacity a little bit, somewhere around 50. I think it looks really good. Maybe a little bit less, and let's group the layers once again. Boom! And of course, don't forget to press save. So let's just check. This was before and this is after. Before and after. It took us 10 minutes, of course, with my boring explanation a little bit longer, but trust me, once you get used to this process, it's sometimes even 7 minutes. So it's super easy, it's super quick. And I hope, guys, you enjoyed this tutorial. You could learn something new. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, I'm going to keep making these kind of tutorials for you. Let me know if you have some questions. Maybe you have some topics that you would like me to talk about. The next tutorial, I'm going to make a little bit more advanced tutorial for which you need to spend a little bit more time. But for today, I think we learned something. I hope you learned some new tricks, and I wish you all an amazing day. Stay amazing as you are. Bye bye. Test, 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 test. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then come to me, come to me. Run me outside, run me outside.